Yo, everybody. Pickpocket Podcast. I don't know, says Chicago Sports Hub, but always saying long live Sway every day, Long live my boy. But we're gonna get into UFC Vegas 90. Boring ass card. I ain't even gonna lie, I broke down only like half of these fights because I really wasn't even sure about half of these fighters. Most of them are coming off Dana White Contender Series and shit. But it's Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis, the main event. But before we get into the main event and all that, let's start off with Gene Matsumoto, 14 and 0, 24 years old. He got 3-0, 3-0 by TKO, 5-0 by submissions, 6 decision wins, no losses, and he's going up against Dan Argueta. Ah, this is a tough fight, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Dan Argueta, born in Chicago, he's a dog. I'm not gonna lie. He's a fucking dog. But man, Gene Matsumoto is just improving every fight. I watched a fight of him when he was 21, and he's just really well rounded. He can go after takedowns. Offensively, he can grapple like a dog. He got quick ass hands. I mean, his striking is definitely going to be better than Dan Argueta. Um, I mean, he's faced good opposition his whole career. Gene Matsumoto has, and he's Brazilian, I believe, even though his name is like a mixture of like French and fucking Japanese. But I put a star next to this. He's fought good opposition. Like in his tapology, you could see that he's beat he's all of his opponents were like 6-0, 7-0, 6-1. They all had good resumes. You know what I'm saying? So his last three opponents combined are 22-1. So he's not a can crusher, but he is making his UFC debut. He has fought 5 rounds before, a bunch of times, so the cardio is not going to be an issue here. Takedown defense, a little questionable. And that's where the styles make matchups, right? Dan Argueta, I put a star next to this. Chicago, Illinois. Born in Chicago. Let me get into the reach and shit. Gene Matsumoto's 5'6", 68.5 inch reach. Argueta 5'7", and he has a 68-inch reach. He opened as the favorite, but now he's the underdog. He opened at minus 140, and now let me see my DraftKings. He's at plus 140, and Gene Matsumoto's at minus 162. The over 2.5 is minus 260, so like they really see this fight going the distance because it might be a grapple heavy contest. But Gene Matsumoto, I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a knockout. Dan Argueta, though, on the other hand, has never been knocked out in his career. Let me get into him. He's a Chicago boy, so we got to talk about him. He's 9-1, 2-0 when it comes to TKOs, so not too many TKOs. 4-0 when it comes to submission, 3-0 when it comes to decision. He's taken down every opponent in his last 4 fights, and his last 3 opponents combined are 40-10. So he's fought the better opposition. He's fought guys like going into Tapology. He's fought guys like, hold on, my shit just deloaded. He's fought Miles Johns, who just got a win last week. He fought Diego Silva. It was an LFA, and he got a split decision, but he just got a win last week or a couple weeks ago as an underdog too. His only losses, even though one of them was in the Ultimate Fighter, he lost to Ricky Turcios, which isn't a bad loss to have, and he lost to Damon Jackson, who's also fighting on this card. And at the time, he was undefeated going into that fight, 7-0 or 8-0, and he lost to a guy that was 20-4. Basically, this was in 2022 in June, so not too long ago. It was a unanimous decision. Damon Jackson just had the better striking, and he had the good enough takedown defense to win that fight. But I do think he's making his UFC debut here. I really, I really am like I like the plus 3.5 Dan Argetta, just because the over under is already at minus 260 for over 2.5 rounds. For fight to go to distance, it's probably minus 225. Yeah, I called that shit right now. You've seen that. No, no cap. So, but Dan Argetta's 30, and that's like the prime of your UFC career. You know what I'm saying? Born out of Chicago. Come on, let's represent. Man, this guy though, Gene Matsumoto is skilled as fuck. 14-0, going on 15-0. Not a can crusher. He might make quick work of Dan. We may see it. He's making his UFC debut here. We saw him on Contender Series, but official best pick for this fight is the plus 3.5. Dan Argetta, or if you're feeling risky and are really on the side of Gene Matsumoto, I would just go for a. If you're really on his side, like I might place a little money on this to win by KO or submission at plus 350. I mean, he's got 8 wins by TKO and submission. That's more than half of his wins. So I'm liking that, and that's plus 350. But Argetta is a tough guy to finish. He's fought these guys who are 40-10, their last three opponents combined, and none of them have finished them. So moving on, the pick's gonna be plus 3.5. That's the most confident pick, but y'all know this is fighting. It's at minus 180 right now for the plus 3.5 on Dan Argetta. Be cautious. Be cautious. Gene Matsumoto, if he wins this fight, I'm picking his ass from here on out. This fight is at let me tell you where this fight's at. This is a 135 bantamweight. A lot of these fights are at bantamweight and featherweight. There's not so many fights that are heavier weight classes. My honorable mention pick. This is the word I was looking for last week. I couldn't fucking come up with. Is gonna be Cesar Almeida at plus 125, man. He beat Alex Pereira in kickboxing once. He lost to him twice. That's the only reason. Dylan Budka might wrestle him and just wrestle fuck his ass, but we'll see. I feel like Cesar Almeida, they put him on as the first fight on the card for a reason. So, I'm not gonna lie. I'm fucking with Cesar Almeida. He beat Alex Pereira, and that tells me something. Um, Moving on though, we got Victor Hugo versus Pedro Falco. Victor Hugo is minus 130 right now, and Pedro Falco took this fight on. He's gonna have maybe 3 days, 4 days notice. By the time the fight comes, it's gonna be a week notice, and he took this fight, so he's a dog for that, and he's still plus 110. That shows you he got some real fucking skill. But starting out though, Victor Hugo 24-4, 7-1 when it comes to decision, 8-0, 8-2 when it comes to TKO, and 9-1 when it comes to submissions. He's 5-7, 71-inch reach, and his last five, 4 of his last 5 fights were finishes.
It's 9 o'clock.
He's gonna be the taller fighter just by with the reach because he's got a 5-inch reach advantage, and he is 31 years old, Victor Hugo. Uh, Facing on Pedro Falco, I think that's how you say it. Sorry if I butchered your name, but he's got a 66-inch reach, so he's got the 5-inch reach disadvantage. He's also 31, taking this fight on basically a week's notice. Come on, y'all. Is this guy Victor Hugo is 24-4? Like he has beaten some cans in his career, but lately he's finishing these fighters, and he's been impressive. And minus 130 fighting a guy on such short notice, even though he's 16-3 himself, 6-1 TKO, 5-0 submission, 5-2 decision, and 5-0 his last 5. I'm still taking the guy who had a full camp, not a 7 day, not a short notice guy. So Victor Hugo is going to be the pick at minus 130. Be cautious on that one too. This is a tough card, y'all. It's a tough card. My next fucking fight. What's my next fight? Norma Dumont. Ooh, Norma Dumont and Saint and Jermaine Durandamy. Norma Duran, she's on a 3 fight win streak. She's 0-1, or she's 10-2 overall. 0-1 when it comes to TKO. 2-0 submissions, 8-1 decisions. She got some good wins over Carol Rosa and Aspen Ladd. She's stayed active. That's the only reason I'm gonna pick her in this fight. She's like minus 135 right now. Jermaine Durandamy might win this fight. She is a former kickboxing champion, probably the best female kickboxer, the first female 145 champion. She's 4-1 when it comes to TKOs, 4 TKOs out of 10 wins. Out of her 10 wins, 1-1 when it comes to submission, and 5-2 when it comes to decision. I mean, she's got some notable fucking wins. She's beaten the who's who, you know. She's beaten Juliana Pena, Rocky Pennington, Holly Holm, Aspen Ladd, fucking she's beaten like uh Larissa Pacheco. I mean, just, she's beaten former champions. She's lost to Amanda Nunez. I think that was her last fight in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. But I like Norma Dumont. This girl hasn't fought. She has all these wins, but these wins were in 2016, 2017. That's 7 years ago now. We can't. I don't think we're gonna see the same girl that we saw those years back. And I think Norma Dumont, she got the cake, and she gonna make it happen. You know what I mean? The cameraman definitely been on it the past couple of fights. But moving on, I got Alex Morono versus Court McGee. Court McGee, 21-12, 39 fucking years old. This man's old as fuck. 2-3 his last five. I believe he's been knocked out his last 2 fights, lost to Matt Brown, lost to Jeremiah Wells. Overall, he's lost to really good opposition. He's lost to Sean Brady as well, uh, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Sean Strickland. But let me get into him. He's 3-3 when it comes to TKOs. So 2 of those TKOs are the last 2 fights. 11-9 when it comes to decision, and 7-0 when it comes to submission. And if you'd see this guy, you'd be like, just look at a picture of him. You would not be thinking this guy got 7 submissions. You know what I'm saying? So, but a notable win of his, even though it was a split decision, is Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whitaker. I was fucking shocked to find that out. But he is 21-12 overall. He is plus 235 underdog here. Over 2.5 for this fight is minus 135. Alex Morono, 23-9 overall. 5'11, 72 inch reach. For Court McGee, 75.5 inch reach, and 100. Of course, it's this fight's at welterweight. Let me point that out. But he's got Alex Morono has the 6 year youth advantage. I always talk about that with these fights, especially like with that Weidman shit last week. He was 39 too. I get it. 39-year-olds win. I guess if they can poke you in the eye twice, they're gonna win. But Morono is 33 years old, 6-3 TKO, 7-0 submission. So he's never been submitted, and 9-6 when it comes to decision. He's lost to Buckley, he's lost to Ponzinibbio, and he's lost to Pettis. Those are some notable good losses to have. He's beaten Tim Means, he's beaten the Cowboy Cerrone, and he's beaten Max Payne Griffin. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't love the odds here, but I'm not trusting 39-year-old Court McGee. Don't do it. I like minus 3.5 low key for Alex Morono. If you want to play it safe and use Alex Morono as a money line piece at minus 290, go ahead. I think that's a good move too. Moving on, I got my boy Trevor Peake, 29 years old. He's 5'9", 70-inch reach. He is wild. He's 9-1 overall, 2-1 in the UFC, 8-0 when it comes to TKO, 1-1 when it comes to decision. No submission threat, no submission at all. No wins or losses. 4-1s and 4-1 in the last 5. Only loss is to Chepe Mariscal, and that's our boy from Triton College, who we're gonna get into in a couple fights. So this fight, it's at lightweight division. He's taking on Charlie Campbell, was 6-0, 72.5-inch reach, 28 years old. Got a 1 year youth advantage. He's 8-2 overall. 6-1 when it comes to TKO, and 2-1 decision. So none of these boys uh have any submission wins or losses. His only loss is to Chris Duncan. This is gonna be a close fucking fight. Over 1.5 is money. So the odds makers are expecting Charlie Campbell to finish him because he has finished his last. Let me check Tapology real quick. I think it's his last three fights he's finished in the first round. But yeah, he's finished his last three fights in the first round. And that's fucking like that's pretty crazy, you know what I mean? Like to finish like I mean he like look at the opponent's records though. He's finished and he just had a grappling fight. So that means he's working on his grappling, Charlie Campbell. He just finished yeah. He had two first round finishes in a row. And overall, a lot of his finishes do come in the first round. Three of his TKO wins were in the first round. So half of his TKO wins come in the first round. So I think Trevor Peak is gonna come out and he's gonna be wild. And I think he's just gonna brawl the boxer. He's gonna just put it on him, and it's gonna be to his advantage here. I'm gonna pick Trevor Peak here. He's the underdog. I know I'm picking a lot of dogs here. Well, not that many, but he's plus 50 dog. I do think he somehow could even take it to decision if you want to lay $5 like or $10 on him. Decision for him is plus 1,000. So I could even see that possibility. Charlie, even though he's 1-1 decision and mostly knocks people out, but Trevor Peak to win by TKO is plus 215. I don't mind the sound of that either. I just think it's worth it at plus 1,000 to lay a little bread on Trevor Peak. Moving on, who we got next? We got Walter Walker, Johnny Walker's younger bigger brother. This motherfucker is huge. You know what I mean? Like he's 26 years old, 6'6", 81-inch reach. Like this guy is fucking massive. He's gonna be at the limit. I guarantee it. He's gonna have like I don't see him not being at the limit. 11-0, 6-0 when it comes to TKO, 1-0 submissions, 4-0 decisions when it comes to decision. And that's a little deceiving because this guy is a wrestler. And Lucas Bresky, let me talk about Lucas Bresky first. He's Polish, so I gotta mention that. He's 6'4", 78.5-inch reach, 8-4 overall, 5-2 TKO, 2-0 submission. So he's got a little submission game, 1-2 decision. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's fighting for his job here, and this is Walter Walker's UFC debut. So I honestly I don't love the it dropped. This line was at minus 400 last week. So Lucas Bresky is getting some money coming. It's just Walter Walker, even though he's got these TKOs, they're all grounded pound. He doesn't have striking at all. Lucas Bresky, on the other hand, 5-2 TKO. A lot of those are from striking, like not ground and pound, you know. So I really want to pick. I think Walter Walker is going to get it done. Um, I like a prop right here. Fight to start round two at minus 280. If you let him take that as a prop, I think they will survive the first round. Or if that happens, I think Lucas is more liable to or more prone to win. If oh, man, like Walter Walker by TKO is plus 120. I don't know. His striking is just not that great. He's got a good ground game. His plus submission at plus 800 it might be worth it even. It's gonna be his first test. Lucas Bresky, even though he's on a 3-fight losing streak to Waldo, Cortez Acosta, Carl Williams, Martin Badai. I think I think Walter's still the pick, but take it at right now at minus 240 or take the fight to start round two. It's a tough fight. All right, y'all. Fucking are we talking about this one already? Morgan Charrier. versus our boy Triton College representing Triton College, Chepe Mariscal. I'm gonna get to Chepe first. 15-6 overall, 31 years old, 5-7, 69-inch reach. This fight is at featherweight, I believe. He is 7-3 when it comes to TKO, 3-0 when it comes to submissions, 5-3 when it comes to decision. He is 5-0 his last five, improving each fight. He really is. Underdog in all of his three UFC fights. One of those was canceled, but he's 2-0 in the UFC so far. So I think he's gonna take a wrestle heavy approach. He is the underdog coming into this fight. Right now his odds are at plus 105, and they have him as Jose Mariscal. These odds were just plus 125 when I was doing my research earlier, my notes. Um, So take him now. I think they see the line dropping. I do think Morgan Charrier, though, let me get into him. He's 19-9, 28 years old, so he's a little younger here. He's just getting into his prime, while Chepe is kind of in his prime. He's 5'8", 6'9", 69-inch reach, 11-0 when it comes to TKO, 3-1 when it comes to submission, 5-3 when it comes to decision. I think this fight is all the way a Morgan Charrier TKO win, or that's plus 300, or a Chepe Mariscal decision win plus 165. Victory alternate method of victory double chance. Morgan to win by TKO and Chepe to win by decision is minus 165. I do like that for this fight the most if you want to play it safe. But I do like Chepe as the underdog, even at plus 3.5, minus 185, or even just as a straight dog, plus 105. Morgan is a dog though, but he is a Frenchie. We know how those Frenchies fight. We've seen Cyril Gonfold, and he's fighting Triton College, Chicago representing, so we're not picking against Chepe. Moving on, we got the co-main event of the evening, a fucking travesty to the UFC. These UFC Vegas fight cards. I was doing research for like fucking so long because I literally don't know half these people, and I was like, "Fuck this shit, bro. I'm not gonna throw out picks. I ain't really too, confident in." But I mean, and fights that people don't even want to fucking hear me talk about because these fights are so stupid lately. But these fight cards, the Apex ones, not the pay-per-views and the fight nights, but just the Apex Vegas ones. But let me get into the fight. Co-main event, 145 division. Alexander Hernandez, 140, 31 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach, and 2-3 in his last five. He is 14-7 overall, 6-3 when it comes to TKO, 2-1 when it comes to submission, 6-3 when it comes to decision. His losses are quality. He's lost to Billy Q, Renato Moicano, Bill Algeo, Thiago Moises, Cowboy Cerrone. He's beaten Benny Dariush and Jim Miller, though. So what the fuck? This guy is just inconsistent as fuck. He is a good striker. He's a good grappler. He's good all around. But he's fighting Damon Jackson, who is 5'11", 2-inch height advantage, 71-inch reach. He's 3-2 in his last five fights. He's 4-4 when it comes to TKO, 15-1 when it comes to submission, and 3-1 when it comes to decision. And his W's are against Pat Sabatini and Dan Argueta, who's fighting early on this card. Those are good W's to have, but he's 35 years old. He's 4 years older here, and he's 22-6 overall. Let me mention that. That submission game is dangerous. I think that submission is going to be his only path to victory in this fight. I don't see him knocking out Alexander Hernandez, even though his chin is prone to knockouts. Plus 450 to win by submission for Damon Jackson, or even Alexander Hernandez to knock our boy Damon Jackson out. I just think it's going to happen plus 120. But overall, I'm going to go with Alexander Hernandez at minus 205 as a parlay piece. I could see the fight going over 2.5 at plus 130. Or actually, I'd rather give you guys fight to start round two minus 280 for this fight. So let's go, y'all. I'm gonna give Alexander Hernandez minus 205 for this fight. I just think he's even though he's 2-3 his last five fights, he's younger. Damon Jackson, he's 3-2 his last five fights, and he's lost to some really good names: Ilya Taporia, Ige, Billy Q. I think Alexander Hernandez has the submission defense to stop Damon Jackson because that's his only path to victory at 15-1, which is crazy. Main event: Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen. Chris Curtis, one of my favorite fighters, the dog, the man dance. 31-10 overall, 5-2 in the UFC, 15-1 when it comes to TKO, 3-1 when it comes to submission, 13-8 when it comes to decision. I could see this fight being split decision, guys. Chris Curtis is the underdog, even though he's already beat our boy Brendan Allen, who he is fighting. Chris Curtis is his last win was against Marc Andre Barriault. He's got. Let me get into before I get too deep into Chris Curtis. Let me start off mentioning Brendan Allen, who's 28 years old, 8-year youth advantage. You know how much I like the youth advantage, guys. He's 6-2, 75-inch reach, 5-2 when it comes to TKO, 75 inch reach. I said that already. My bad. 11-2 when UFC record, which is really good. 5-2 TKO. 14-1 when it comes to submission. So one guy's 15-1 when it comes to TKO. One guy's 14-1 when it comes to submission. You could tell how this fight's gonna go. It might be a decision though. I feel like because Brendan Allen does have 4 wins by decision and 2 losses by decision. He's on a 7-fight win streak right now. He's beaten Paul Craig, Bruno Silva, Andre Munoz, Krzysztof Yatko, Jacob Malkoun, Sam Alvey, Gabriel Checo, and then he lost to Chris Curtis in 2021 December, December 4th, 2021. So not that long ago, guys. It's like 2.5 years ago. He lost by punches and knees, and it was I mean, he was looking good before then. He had wins over Puniella Soriano and Carl Roberson. So one of those losses in the UFC is to Chris Curtis. He has beaten Kevin Holland, though. He's beaten Kyle Dawkins. He's lost to Anthony Hernandez, and that's a tough guy to beat whenever. But I mean, I'm torn between this fight. I think I'm just gonna give you guys +5.5 Chris Curtis at minus 105. I think the over 2.5 hits. I think both guys are durable. But yeah, +5.5 Chris Curtis. I think it's gonna be a close fight. I think Chris Curtis, he's been in so many fucking fights and he's only been finished twice. 40, how many fights? He's 31-10, 41 professional fights, and he's only been finished twice, guys. So Chris Curtis +5.5 on DraftKings is going to be the pick. If you don't like that, then over 2.5 minus 165. I just don't fully trust Brendan Allen. He's on a 7-fight win streak, and I still don't trust him. I don't know why. He is injury prone. I don't know. Maybe some fluky shit happens here. My gut's telling me Chris Curtis +5.5 all day, all week. So that's what we're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Brendan Allen makes a statement though and demands a title shot after a big finish of Chris Curtis, who is hard to finish. But styles make fights, and Chris Curtis is gonna walk him. I feel like just walk you down style. You gotta really go hard at him to to beat him and break him down. Guys, Stephon Diggs to the Texans. The Texans are fucking hot. That's all I got for the NFL news for an hour for right now. I just want to bring it up. But damn, CJ Stroud, blessing on blessing on blessing. Like you're gonna have Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, like that. Dalton Schultz isn't bad. Like, come on, y'all. Like, subscribe, tune in. This is gonna be on YouTube now. I'll be back on YouTube. Pickpocket Podcast. Tune in. Watch the full fucking episodes. I'm giving y'all picks. I'm giving y'all, a variety of picks for each fighter because this is fighting and it can go any fucking direction. The ones I'm confident in, I'm gonna tell you I'm really confident in, and that's most of the picks I give you because I don't break down every fight on every card. But long live Sway, Sway forever. We fucking miss you, bro. Like for like a motherfucker, man. I think about you every day, bro. I know a lot of y'all do. Like, share, subscribe for Sway. Do it. Let's grow this podcast and keep his name alive and spread it out to the entire world. That's all I can say, yo. Love. Peace.